Hey there, welcome to another Bernie Miklasz show here on my YouTube channel. Again, thank you all so much for your support, subscribing and watching these videos and leaving your comments. And I always like to say, even if we disagree, it's okay. We can get a little cranky. That's okay too. We're talking sports. We're doing it together. Well, it wasn't my desire today to really do another Bernardo video, but what can I say? There is some fresh news on the Nolan Arenado front. It's indirect news, but certainly relevant. So I'm sure you've heard by now, but if you haven't, the Houston Astros, after Nolan Arenado said basically, no, thank you, and rejected the trade, which is his right to do, a trade that the Cardinals and Astros were about to complete. He said, no, thank you. And the Astros today, the idea that the door was open maybe to revisit Arenado in Houston, because remember, Arenado said, or his agent told a couple of reporters that, well, Nolan just doesn't want to rush into anything. He doesn't want to do anything this soon, meaning that Arenado wanted to see if anything else would develop. Okay, so they were trying to at least keep the door open in Houston, but the door's closed because the Astros signed. So they said, no, thank you. They said, bye-bye to Arenado. Astros signed Greg Walker, as you know by now, probably the Arizona Diamondbacks first baseman, a good one, an underrated one, now a free agent. They signed him to a 3-year deal for $60 million. So Walker will play first base for the Astros. And Isaac Paredes, who they got from the Cubs in that Kyle Tucker trade, he will play third base, which is his natural position, but he can also play first, which is what they would have done had they gotten Arenado's consent to a deal. He would have played third with Paredes at first. So where does that leave the Nolan Arenado market? It's interesting because really the biggest domino is still Alex Bregman. Because, it's not entirely sure where Bregman will wind up. There are a lot of teams that still, at least as far as we can tell, would have interest in him. And Bleacher Report did a thing just to save me some time where they updated it. It was like, I think it was done earlier today, where they talk about the 10 possible destinations for former Astros third baseman Alex Bregman. See, because the Astros also said bye-bye to him too. They weren't going to re-sign him anyway, because that's why they're pursuing Arenado. But I mean, this officially closed the deal on that. He wants over $200 million. He's probably more in line for about $250, $260 million, but we'll see. It's not my concern. But anyway, possible landing spots, according to Bleacher Report, some of the reporting they've done. And keep in mind, some of these teams are not they're not considered serious, but they're on the list at 10, right? The Nationals at 10, the Royals at 9, and the Royals actually do need a third baseman. The Royals are pretty good. The Yankees at number 8, I can see that if they want to spend the money, even after getting Bellinger. The Phillies are at number 7, but of course, Phillies would have to move Alec Bohm. Alex Bregman could be a target of Steve Cohen, the very incredibly wealthy owner of the Mets. They could put him in third and move Mark Vientos to first base if they don't sign their own guy, re-sign their own guy, Pete Alonso, to play first base. The number 5 likely destination is Seattle. I would say so, because last year their offense was 21st in runs scored. Their third baseman hit .213 with a 642 OPS. Yeah, I would say they could throw some money around and get Alex Bregman. Number 4 is Toronto, because Toronto's trying to buy everybody, and they have a hard time people wanting to take their money. But they could use their baseman for sure. Houston, no, that's a hard no. And this list was published before the Walker news went down. Number 2 would be Boston, but to play Bregman at second base. Alex Cora, the manager, during the winter meetings, talking to the media, said, "Well, it's not just third base. I've always thought." And he was with Alex Bregman in Houston, Alex Cora. I always thought he would play second base really well. And Scott Boras said that Bregman is willing to play second base in the right situation. Would Boston be one of those situations? Well, if the money's right, I'm sure there would be. He does like the manager. But to play third base, the Red Sox would have to find a home for their first baseman, Tristan Casas. They'd have to trade him for pitching and then move Rafael Devers across the diamond from third to first, in theory. The number one most likely destination, and I can see this, would be the Detroit Tigers, because they have good young team, and they're only going to get better. And their young third baseman last year had a bad year. Jace Jung, he was below replacement level in terms of wins above replacement. So obviously, as soon as Bregman makes a deal with a team, and that's his landing spot, and then his future is taken care of, he's off the board, that could absolutely influence and shape where Arenado goes next. So the usual teams are there that we talk about and have talked about from the beginning: Boston, Philadelphia, if they trade Bohm, the Yankees, if they want to move Jazz Chisholm to second base and get some better third base play defensively. The Mets are a candidate for, again, if they want him to improve their defense, because Vientos is not very good defensively, they put him to first. But again, that's only if Pete Alonso doesn't re-sign there. There's some other teams that I think should be mentioned. I did some work this morning, trying to identify teams that really do need third baseman. And all I was doing is identifying need. I didn't want you to think that I was saying, that I'm implying that Arenado would be willing to go to any of these teams, right? I left that out. It's like, well, the first thing you got to look at when you're thinking, okay, well, what's next for Arenado and the Cardinals? Well, you got to identify who actually needs a third baseman. I mean, that's kind of where it starts. I have no idea if he would say yes or no to any of these teams, other than, the Red Sox, Yankees, Mets, Phillies. Houston's off the table. Okay, so Kansas City needs a third baseman, and Kansas City's a really good team, up-and-coming team, aggressive owner, pretty aggressive front office. They don't have a third baseman. It's an obvious hole in what is a really good, promising young team that appears to be getting better. Seattle needs a third baseman in the worst way. I mean, Dylan Moore's just not the answer there. I gave you the numbers about how poorly their third baseman played last season offensively. Toronto needs a third baseman. Milwaukee needs a third baseman. I mean, they have some internal things they could do, but they're going to move Ortiz, who was their third baseman last year. They got in the Baltimore deal for Corbin Burns. They're going to move him to shortstop to replace Willie Adames, because that's Ortiz's natural position is shortstop. So that's no problem. But they do need technically a third baseman. The Angels need a third baseman. Arenado at least implied, or his agent implied, that Arenado would be willing to go there, even though they're not going to win. Anthony Rendon is a third baseman, but he collects a paycheck, and that's pretty much the fruit of his labors, making sure the check was deposited, wired into his account. He's hurt all the time. The Reds could use a third baseman. That, according to, I was reading a piece by Mike Petrillo at MLB.com, who's brilliant, and he identified some of the places where they definitely need a third baseman. And so he has the Reds on the list. Miami's on the list. I think they're irrelevant, but they need a third baseman. Washington needs a third baseman. And I tell you what, for a different type of free agent, third baseman of any kind of name, who was a little bit younger than Arenado is, like Arenado will be a 34 in April. Somebody who was younger and had a lot of years still left, Washington would have appeal, because they did the teardown thing. And a lot of the players they got back are really good players. And they're starting to come into their own. And I think the next, maybe not in 2025, but I think right after that, we're talking about 26, 27, 28. They have a chance to be really good. And I think their ownership will spend some money. And for a third baseman who's a free agent, and Arenado's not a free agent, but you know what I mean. A third baseman who would like to move or would welcome a move. But Arenado, according to Joel Wolf, his memorable quote, he's noting that Arenado's biological clock is ticking. So in other words, he wants to win, get somewhere other than the Angels, exception for them apparently. He wants to win, and he wants to win now because the time is running low in his career. So he's probably not a fit for Washington. But I'm telling you, Washington's not a crazy team to mention, just not for this particular third baseman. And there are teams that need first baseman as well, because you remember, of course, Arenado famously said, "Oh, I'll play first base. I'll play Padres. Hello, I'll play first." They have a first baseman in Louis Rai, but they could move him to DH to accommodate Arenado, but they don't have the money, apparently. The Dodgers have all but filed a restraining order to keep Arenado from pestering them on social media. I'm just kidding. Arizona needs a first baseman. Maybe they'll bring Paul Goldschmidt back. By the way, Yankees are interested in Paul Goldschmidt to play first base because they really want to put Bellinger in center field so they can move Aaron Judge to right field in the spot vacated by Soto. Bob Nightingale said the Yankees are looking at Goldie and they're looking at Carlos Santana to play first base. I wonder if Arizona will want to bring Goldie back. It'd be a heck of a way to end of his career, go full circle. He hits well in that ballpark. And, and Goldie, the final 3 months of the season, had a good slugging percentage. I mean, his on base percentage wasn't much, but he hit a home run. He had a pretty good home run rate, good doubles rate. His final 3 months, some of the juice came back in his bat. I could see him having a big year offensively for the Diamondbacks. San Diego, we mentioned. Detroit, we mentioned, also could use a first baseman. Minnesota could use a first baseman. Right on down the line. So as far as that, this is a parlor game. I mean, all we can do is just kind of look at the board of game pieces and just wonder, who's going to move where, or can we move Arenado here? No, how about move Arenado there? So that's all it is. But nothing's going to happen, I don't think, until Bregman makes a decision on where he wants to play. And then teams that miss out on him there are more teams than Houston that have been calling John Mozeliak, because that's been reported by everyone. And he has acknowledged that. It wasn't just Houston or bust. So if he has several other teams that are interested in Arenado, and one of those teams also hopes to get Bregman, but if they don't get him, there will be some teams getting in touch with Mo. After that, I don't know who it will be. I don't know what it will take. I don't know if Arenado will say yes or no. Those things are beyond my grasp as far as predicting that. There's one thing I want to address, though, that's related to this, because there's been some pushback, and I've even some of my friends and colleagues at KMOX have gotten some too. He thinks, well, no. You don't have to trade Arenado. You bring him back. And he'll make you a better team. And there's a new hitting coach, so maybe he can get Arenado going, or maybe this, or maybe that. But bring him back. It'll help you win. And pardon me, because I can't resist being a little snarky here, but help the Cardinals win what? What? I mean, the people that are saying that, no offense, because I really don't mean any offense, but I've had more and more people recent days just saying that. Well, no. They see they should keep him. If they want to win, they should keep him. He'll give them a better chance of winning. Win what? That's the John Mozeliak playbook. You're quoting John Mozeliak. And that's why I say no offense. I'm not, I'm just saying, but understand what you're saying. You're saying some of the stuff that Mo's telling, Tom Ackerman on KMOX on Sunday morning, or telling this media person, that media person, a bunch of media people. Well, we really think we can do better than people expect. We think we can be very competitive. We think we have a really entertaining, competitive team that will do better than a lot of people expect. See, that's John Mozeliak talking points. And John Mozeliak won't say contender, but he's implying that. So I always find it interesting because just every Cardinal fan I know is either like down on Mo or sick of Mo or burned out on Mo, fatigued on Mo. They despise Mo, a lot of anger, which is cool. It's warranted. But the same people that hate, that's just a loosely applied term, hate Mozeliak, are also among those, in my experience, that are using his talking points to make a pitch for Arenado to come back. It'll help you win. We can be better than people expect. Bernie, the division is still up for grabs. I'm not sold on the Cubs or the Brewers, but you got to have Arenado back, and then you never know. You never know, Bernie. Can I take a pause here just to bring you up to date on Nolan Arenado's downward trajectory offensively? We know he can still play plus defense. No one's denying that. His last 205 games, it goes back to right around the All-Star break of 2023, July 19th to be exact, of 2023. 261 batting average, no big deal. Who cares? On base percentage, 313, not very good. Slugging percentage, 381, as I mentioned. That slugging percentage of Nolan Arenado in his last 205 games is 1 point higher than Paul DeYoung's slugging percentage over the same time. OPS 694. If you look at, there was 21 home runs. He's hit a home run like every 38 at bats. 23 doubles, not a lot at all. Hitting at 25 ground ball double plays. This is all his last 205 games. There's since July 19th of 2023, which obviously takes in all of 2024, there's 166 major league hitters that have had at least 600 play appearances. So he's in a group of 166. Just keep in mind, 166. He's tied for 116th in home runs. He is tied 136 out of 166 in slugging percentage. His OPS is number 137 on that list of 166 hitters. His isolated power number, called ISO, just pure power distillation. What's the isolated power number? He's 152nd out of 166. And in park adjusted, league adjusted runs created, which is WRC plus, all you need to know is 100 is average. Since that July 19th of 2023, Arenado is 7% below average. And among 166 hitters with at least 600 plate appearances, that ranks 134th out of 166. And yet I've been getting some correspondence. So, he can get better. He can improve. They got the new hitting coach. I don't think Nolan Arenado worries too much about hitting coach. I think Nolan Arenado kind of does his own thing. But what seriously, though, that profile that I gave you, there's one other thing too. And this one's more alarming. Right-handed batter. Most of his career, he's just destroyed left-handed pitching. Just absolutely destroyed it, right? Over the last 2 seasons, he's been awful against left-handed pitching, and it's something that I've been slow to kind of relay the information to you, but it's really glaring. But let's go back to this 205 games, the last 205 games that he's played as a Cardinal. His batting average against left-handed pitchers is 208. It's unreal. His on-base percentage against lefty pitchers, Nolan Arenado, 205 games, 242. His slugging percentage is 319 against left-handed pitchers. And his OPS is 561. He can't hit sinker balls anymore. He doesn't pull the ball as much as he used to, and he doesn't put it in the air as much as he used to. So what he needs to do is pull fly balls down the line, but he keeps hitting more ground balls every year. At least last year, his ground ball rate went up. His fly ball rate's been coming down the last 2 years, and he doesn't pull enough fly balls. I did a breakdown on that a while back. Oh, and he can't hit sinkers anymore, and he can't hit left-handed pitchers. Other than that, oh yeah, here he comes. He's a locomotive coming down the tracks back to St. Louis. Going to carry them Redbirds to the NL Central title. I'm being sarcastic. Forgive me. I got to get a little bit of that out. There's not much there to like about his offensive profile for a soon-to-be 34-year-old player who's already in a pretty obvious decline offensively. But Bernie, he will help the Cardinals win. If you say so, champ. Here's the deal, and we got to talk about this. At least I think part of this push by some, I don't know how many, there's no scientific polling done here, to bring back Arenado is because, of course, the Cardinals will be responsible paying him $27 million. It's a $32 million salary in 2025, but the Rockies had already, picked up $5 million of that. So it's $27 million cost to the Cardinals. I think it's just the people that want the payroll to stay at a certain level. They don't care if Arenado's worth it or not. And that's okay. You can feel whatever you want. But the good people that are talking about, well, he'll help you win, and they should be trying to win. Okay, I'm always in favor of trying to win, but they've pretty much laid out what their plan is, whether we like it or not. They want Nolan Gorman to play third base a lot, to be their regular third baseman in 2025. And by having him at third base instead of second, Thomas Saggese gets a full run playing second base. There'll be some other guys working in there too, but he'll get a really big run playing second. If you have Arenado occupying third, well, then none of that happens. So basically he cancels out third base for Gorman, and by extension, Gorman back to second cancels out Saggese playing second base a lot. And it goes against the so-called youth movement. More on that in a minute, because you know that I'm jaded about that because, I'll get into this now. So yeah, I understand why some of you are really cynical about the Cardinals and the stuff they claim they want to do. So, like, I'm on your side in terms of being suspicious of everything they say. That's why a couple of weeks ago, I think I did a video where I talked about, whoa. What is this youth movement 2025 as if this is a first-time thing? They're sort of selling it. It's like, oh yeah, we're dropping the payroll, but here's why. We're investing in the minor leagues and the farm system and the infrastructure and coaches down there and instructors down there and better tools, better technology, better facilities. And by the way, I'm totally on board with that because they had neglected that area, and that area had deteriorated, and it's an embarrassment to the organization considering their proud tradition that goes back a long time of drafting, developing players and having superb training in the minor leagues. I'm in favor of that, and I have no idea why any Cardinal fan would be opposed to that. It's the reason they're in the shape that they're in, because they don't develop star players anymore and really good supporting players. And they've got some pitching on the way, but there had been a pretty big gap in that area. And when guys who they think can become stars and still might get to the big leagues, there's a lot they still need to work on. And that's why we've seen Walker relapse and we've seen Gorman relapse. So the Cardinals are like, all right, we're fixing the minor leagues. We got to get our players better prepared. We have drafted good talent, but now we have to bring that talent along in a much better way than we have been. And we got to hire instructors. We got to hire a whole new supervising staff. We need better facilities. We need all the modern equipment. We need the technology. We need the instructors. We need this. It costs quite a bit. Having a thriving farm system that is going to do a much better job of developing your guys for the big leagues, like, who the heck is against that? That'd be like me saying, I know this is unusual, my friends, but I've decided that I'm against breathing. I'm I'm taking a position that I object to breathing. I'm opposed to breathing. Okay, just so you know where I'm. I mean, obviously, I'm exaggerating and being stupid, but it's like, if you're a Cardinals fan, why do you want to have a thriving farm system that's going to prepare players better or draft and develop them better? What? Who the hell would be opposed to that? Oh, you want to sign some more lousy free agents with that money? Gotcha. Anyway, I'm okay with playing Gorman at third and giving Sajacy a run at second base, and more than that. Let me finish something I was trying to say here. But the people that want to bring Arenado back, seem to think that he comes back, they live happily ever after. Oh, they still keep Fettys, they still keep Helsley, they still keep other guys making money. Oh, and they'll have a chance, okay. I don't think so, but okay. But what I think has gotten lost in the messaging, or like people haven't picked up on it enough, the Cardinals are in a cost-cutting mode. They are in a payroll slashing mode. And you can be really ticked off about that. I ain't going to tell you you're wrong. I mean, you can be ticked off about whatever you want to be. But if you're telling me I got to think as you do, I can say, well, no, I don't. Payroll got mixed feelings. I've talked about payroll so much. There's two things I'm 100% burned out on. And if you notice some of my answers getting crankier, that's why. I told someone late last night, I said, I am suffering terribly from John Mozeliak fatigue because, I won't even go to it. I think we all are, but I'm really, really, really hopelessly fatigued by anything related to John Mozeliak. And that includes fans who feel obliged at all hours of the day to come pay a visit on the internet to Uncle Bernie and to savage John Mozeliak again. It's like, oh my, we know he stinks, okay? And we know that he's out of office after this year. I'm not defending a damn thing. I'm just saying, gosh, please, when will this be over? But the payroll thing, I have mixed feelings on, because if you are, and hear me out before you attack, if you are setting aside the 2025 season to find out more about your young players, and John Mozeliak said before he started gaslighting, he said, well, probably take a step back. And now he's doing, we can be better than people expect. That's why people don't trust them. And no one really should. They have no reason to. But just because if they would keep Arenado, you know what it means? Like, I don't need them to have a high payroll right now, because that's not what 2025 is all about. To me, 2025 is about, if you learn once and for all whether you can count on Nolan Gorman going forward and Jordan Walker going forward. If Mike Ciani's offense, which did improve before he got hurt last year, whether you can buy that, whether Victor Scott is going to take another step forward. I mean, on and on and on. Sajacy, Walker, Gorman, Burleson, can he have a good full season rather than a strong 4 months? I mean, can Ivan Herrera hit? Can he improve his throwing and all that stuff? But people think just like you bring back Arenado, that it's going to make you better, better than maybe Gorman playing third base. I'm not even going to argue that, because I don't know. That's the whole point of looking at Gorman. But the point is, they're in the cost-cutting mode. So if Arenado's here, that means they're going to cut the costs elsewhere. And they don't have a lot of places to do it. They're going to do it. Don't kill the messenger. That's me. Big head. Don't kill me for being the messenger. I'm just telling you, they're going to do it. Whether you like it or not. Best thing you can do is like, well, you ain't getting any of my money in 2025, or I ain't watching your games, or I'm not going to get that app for direct screaming? No. Actually, that's a good way to put it, direct screaming, if the Cardinals are bad. The Cardinals payroll estimates right now, two different places, SpotRack and Fangraphs, and this includes Arenado, 26-man payroll, 138 million at one of them and about 147 million at the other one. But that's with Arenado. So you subtract him from that and it goes down. But you think the Cardinals, if you keep him though, they're going to want to pare that payroll down. Again, not my choice, but not my endorsement, but I'm telling you the way it's going to be. So can you talk Sonny Gray into waiving his no trade? Sonny Gray wants to be here. He specifically told make 25 million next year. He specifically told John Mozeliak, no, I can provide some leadership. I actually want to be part of this and see it through. Same with Wilson Contreras. He makes 18 million. I've seen some, frankly, I'm going to use a nasty word. I've seen some idiots actually compare him to Nolan Arenado. Well, how come nobody raises hell about Contreras not waiving his no trade clause? How come you don't talk about that, Bernie? Because Wilson Contreras loves being a Cardinal, despite the way he's treated by some in the fan base. He wants to help the Cardinals. He appreciates that the Cardinals invested in him, and he doesn't want to cut and run and try to get to a better team just because it's a little bit of tough times here. And he's going through tougher times than anybody, the way he was treated when he first got here. With like, oh, he's not Yadier Molina. Oh, my goodness. And they threw him under the bus. Miles Michaelis is 18 million, just about. Another no trade clause. Why would he want to leave? He's got it made in the shade here. Ain't no pressure. He likes it. He's comfy. So they could trade Steven Matz. They're trying to with his $12.5 million salary. Then it's Eric Fettys with $7.5 million. And Ryan Helsley's estimated arbitration salary would be around $7 million. So they're going to be moved. They're going to be moving some of those people if they keep Arenado, which is why, to me, it's a huge long shot that they would keep him. And I don't know why he would want to be here, because he ain't going to be real popular. And as I've said, they don't have to play him every day either. They control the lineup card. He controls the no trade card. But I'm in favor of trading Fettys and Helsley anyway, because this is a set-aside year. And these guys are at their highest value. And I'm laughing because I don't even remember what I saw something again, like in the last day or so. It's like, well, Fettys was just terrible when he was here. So what is this like? He's got value. I don't know. He was in the top 17 in Fangraphs wins above replacement for starting pitchers last year, 17th out of dozens and dozens and dozens. And Baseball Reference had him sixth most valuable pitcher last year. That's it. So it helps. Before you write or say stupid things, it helps to just take about 5 minutes, do a little research. Dude had a 3.30 ERA last year, took the ball all the time. And even after that first couple starts as a Cardinal were then Fettys had a 2.95 ERA like his last 7-8 starts of the season. Would someone tell me what the hell's wrong with that? He knows how to pitch. Yet these are the same people that say, I'm tired about all these obsession over the velocity. We got to get back to having pitchers who know how to pitch. Same people turn around and say, there's nothing special about that Fettys. He don't throw hard. Okay. Have it your way. You're having it both ways. I would trade Fettys because his value's never been higher among intelligent people, including people that run front offices. They know this. Helsley, we were talking to Trevor Rosenthal last night as far as the charity live stream we were doing with my friends from dealing the cards. And I think Trevor Rosenthal, and by the way, I'm going to do a short video on him. His Cardinals career is incredibly underappreciated. It's unreal when you look at the numbers, and I'll give them to you. But anyway, we talked about his career being cut short by injuries, and he was such a dominant closer. And the thing of it is, he basically has no answers. Like, well, how do you prevent this? I mean, he just said guys throw harder and harder and harder, and that's what teams expect. That's what pitchers want to do, and they're not going to. ease up just because there's a chance of them getting hurt the harder they throw. And, Trevor Rosenthal is like one of many, 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 so-called cautionary tales about that. But you can't tell guys to stop throwing hard. My point being, Ryan Helsley's a hell of a closer, but he throws 99 and he's already had some injuries, and you just wonder if the big one's coming, And that's why I love these people. It's just like, well, you hold on him until the trade deadline, and then he'll have much higher value. Oh, is that right? When he's waiting to have, say, Tommy John surgery, value going to be high? Oh, maybe not. So anyway, I just, you trade a guy, relief pitchers are volatile. You trade them if this is a set aside year, and people living in the real world recognize it as such. You trade a guy when he's at his highest value. So trading Fettys and Helsley, especially if Arenado stays, that becomes a must. But they should do it anyway. The other thing too about these no trades, like, I don't understand, as I mentioned, people that sort of take it personally because Gray wants to stay here and Contreras wants to stay here. Let's see, they want to be Cardinals. They don't want to, they don't want to, I want to get to a winner and win now. They really want to be Cardinals. They really want to help them get through this transition. Like what? I give up sometimes. So why the rancor over that? And there was one guy, I think actually on the YouTube channel in the comments was talking about, well, Bertie, you keep talking about playing these young players. It's like, how come you never mentioned Contreras? Like, he's older and they're putting him at first base. First of all, he's about 4 years younger than Goldie. He's 32 right now. Number two, he was your best hitter last year. He's got a live bat. He's really, really good. He'll be able to play first base okay. Well, Bernie, but I thought this was about making everybody younger, the team younger. If Contreras is on first base, Ivan Herrera is a catcher. You know who the two best hitters on the team were last year, according to Park and League adjusted runs created? The two best Cardinals hitters last year were Wilson Contreras, number one, Ivan Herrera, number two. So you move Contreras first base, you're going to have an offensive upgrade there, and then you'll have a really good hitting catcher. It's not an either or. You can have a really good hitting first baseman and a really good hitting catcher, unless Marmol does something where it's like, oh, well, the pitcher's like Pahe's better. Herrera's got to play. It's the only way he's going to improve his throwing and work on his defensive weaknesses. But he's got to play. But they have a potential gem in here. He's already shown he can hit major league pitching, and that includes taking walks, having good, for the most part, good plate discipline. So you move Contreras, that way it gives playing time to young catchers, especially Herrera. And oh, by the way, Jimmy Crook's another catching prospect. He's on the way. It won't be long. This stuff should not be so difficult to understand. So the payroll is going to go down. There'll be slashes even if Arenado stays. But this idea that he's going to help him win, and you don't identify win what, I can't sign off on that one, but it's not going to matter anyway. I'm all in favor of, you got to find out about Nolan Gorman, especially, and Walker, but Nolan Gorman, since it is Arenado's position. Because here's why. He was an above average hitter if you go by OPS plus. He was an above average hitter as a rookie. In his second year, he slugged .478. He hit 27 home runs. He was above average again, above the league average, 14%, something like that. He showed some better plate habits. And he was really good through early June last year. I think it was June the 8th or 9th. He had a slugging percentage over 500, and then he just fell apart. But if you keep Arenado, you move him to second, but then again, okay, now what about Sajaci? Is he just a utility? Whatever. But if you're willing to say no, I don't want Arenado there. I want Arenado. I mean, I don't want Gorman there. I want Arenado. That's also like one step closer to saying get rid of Gorman. I mean, do you really want to do that? Above average rookie season with flaws, but above average, bottom line. Real good slugging percentage. Above the league average again offensively his second year. And then his first April, May, his first 2.5 months last year, well above league average. And then off the cliff. You really want to give up on him? Do you really want to take the step that would lead to giving up on him? I don't. Because the people say, well, yeah, Bernie, he strikes out and he does this. And well, I know I've written a lot about that. I've identified the reasons for it. But you don't give up on him right now. There's just too much there. Now, if you play him, he give him over 600 plate appearances and he never gets better and he's still as bad and it still looks like, well, wait a minute, when's it ever going to happen? We've given him a full opportunity. Then he goes, well, you know what happened because it's the Cardinals and it's a John Mozeliak trade. Then, of course, he would go somewhere else and hit, 39 home runs, right? And then those of you who want to give up on him would be going nuts. I told them they should have kept. No, you did. Just having fun. And that's the thing that. And listen, I don't blame you, and I'll finish up here. I promise. Right now, almost. That's the thing where I never would criticize fans for being skeptical or don't trust in the Cardinals because, again, this youth movement thing. There are a few spots where it is applicable for 2025, but the Cardinals have used this as a marketing pitch, and they're using it as a way to explain and justify cost cutting. But they do have to look long look at a few of these guys that are key to their future, right? It needs to be done before you make another idiotic mistake and trade them to see them blossom elsewhere. I don't mind taking this year to find out those questions because three of these guys could be huge to the future. Or you have to understand whether get a better idea whether it's going to happen or not. But this whole idea is like, okay, well, what do we tell the fans? Oh, we want to give opportunities to youngsters. Well, they would go for that. So a lot of them would. And you remember me a couple of weeks ago, I had a video for you. In a way, I don't really know that people even responded to it the way I thought people would. In other words, like who are the Cardinals trying to fool here? Even though I'm in favor giving extended opportunities to two or three of these guys, Victor Scott in there as well. The Cardinals did this last year. I'm going to repeat it, and I'm going to keep repeating it until everyone else in the media picks up on it. This big rollout for 2025. Well, hey, it's the season of opportunities. It's the season of the young. It's something we must do as the St. Louis Cardinals to prepare for the future and to make some decisions for the future after the season. You did that last year. I looked it up. I'm going to call you out on this stuff. It's not my problem if other people in the media ignore it. Last season, hitters, position players, no older than 25. Okay, no older than 25. In that age group, the Cardinals had more games played and more plate appearances than any team in the majors. The youth movement thing started last year. You did it last year. And I don't mind you doing it this year in a few of these places. But don't act like this is a new initiative. This is like a new project. This is the year. Oh, this is the year we have to play the young. You played them last year. And maybe a couple of them you actually have to stop jerking around and demoting them as soon as they have a bad week. Jordan Walker. They actually rode with Gorman quite a bit. But I think Gorman needs a reset, a restart. Same with Walker. Maybe the batting coach will help. I don't know. But you don't give up on them now. I don't mind them. I think they should commit to those guys. And that means Gorman playing third base, his natural position. But I don't blame you for being cynical or jaded, because the Cardinals just always say this stuff. And it's just like, I think once upon a time it sounded good and people bought it. As time goes on, it's like, nah, you just can't buy the messaging. You just can't believe in it. Maybe you want to, but you just can't really believe in it. And I think this is another example. How convenient that cost cutting is part of, we got to play the kids. Even though we played the kids last year, we're going to play them again. Anyway, I'm going to shut up now. 45 minutes is long enough. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. It's always great to do these things for you. I look forward to your comments. I was going to do some college football picks, but I'm out of time. I ain't going to do that. Maybe, and besides, Notre Dame and Indiana kickoff at 7:00 tonight. So St. Louis time. Anyway, thank you very, very much. Have a nice day.